Hey, my name is Jobby, and we're looking at the SH Monsterarts Burning Godzilla and the SH Monsterarts Destoroyah special color version. And I got both of these guys, believe it or not, from my P.O. box, which has long since been closed, don't even ask. So big shout out to Chris Herrera for sending me these guys way back in fail box 14 and 15. Sorry it took so long. I hope you're not dead. We're gonna get this started with the Big G himself. And this specific version of Godzilla, it's from the 1995 movie Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, which is just Destroyer in a racist accent. James Rolfe was 100% correct. Destoroyah! Also, big spoilers for the movie if you haven't seen it. Godzilla fucking dies. And this figure depicts the iconic monster in his final days. The orange glow is the result of him literally melting down like a nuclear reactor. So in a way, this is basically like having a figure of the last scene of Breaking Bad. Or a toy of Optimus Prime dying. Oh. The painting and the sculpting on this figure is awesome. This design is very similar to a Godzilla we talked about 3 times before. Long before, my word. Makes sense because this Godzilla is that Godzilla's papa. And I know that now. It only took 10 years. All of that is to say, this is the iconic Heisei era Godzilla design, rendered fairly accurately as far as I can tell. Although I'm not so sure if the transition between the normal Godzilla colors and the burning colors was this abrupt. This is either completely movie accurate or some lazy painting on Bandai's part. Would not be the first time. Also, if you couldn't tell by now, I did watch the movie, watched all of the Heisei movies, just wasn't paying close enough attention to his backside. Fake fan. I'm just kidding. It was because I couldn't see through the tears in my eyes. And about this burning effect, beautifully recreated, all the orange parts are clear plastic, which gives you a slight peek at the musculature underneath. And his eyes are the same vibrant color, really striking and expressive, although the pupils are a bit fucked up. Excellent use of these clear parts. It gives it a slight glow depending on the lighting. Could have been an actual glow, but Bandai gave up on Kokyo Kyoku. Also, this particular spine doesn't stay put. Very cool. Should glue this at some point. If you couldn't tell by how long it took me to review these things, both of these guys are older figures, but some of that Bandai bullshit that we see today was always there, apparently. For instance, the lack of an atomic breath part. Fuck off. To be fair, the retail price for this guy when it was still in stock wasn't as bad as the economic hellhole we find ourselves in. Don't even think about how much it costs these days. Fuck off. However, you do get a pair of alternate hands, which are fairly different, and these 2 tanks, which actually have a swivel. Never gonna use these again. Why didn't I get the version with the smoke effect parts? Chris! Thought I'd go to your gravestone and curse you. If he turns out to actually be dead, this will all be in poor taste. Leave a comment, Chris Herrera. Let us know you're okay. And this figure feels okay. For the most part, everything is pretty solid. But with SH Monsterarts, there's always something. Sure, you could pop that ball joint right back in, but it's one of those situations where it feels stupidly tight. But if you apply any sort of pressure, it pops off. That apparent crack at the ball socket might have something to do with it. Chris, what the fuck? It's completely possible that the plastic warped over the long time I had it, but no. It was in its box the whole time, it was stored indoors, and newer SH Monsterarts releases have had similar issues. I call Bandai bullshit. But unlike my other Heisei Godzillas, the ankle is completely solid. Just don't move the thigh so suddenly. And this guy's fairly fun to pose. First of all, everything on here is a dumbbell ball joint, and with that out of the way, you get a ball joint at the head. Every ball joint can be a swivel, opening mouth, and again, everything is on a ball joint. Except for the tongue. What a shame. The ball joints at the neck allow him to look down that far and look up that far. Ball joint at the shoulder, which allows for rotation, but the scope gets in the way of a full rotation. Arm moves out. Ball joint at the bicep. Every ball joint can be. Ball joints here allow for a bend at the elbow. Ball joint at the wrist. Ball joint at the chest comes off a bit too easily, but nowhere near as annoying as the thigh. Ball joint at the waist. And of course, those allow for a swivel, a crunch, and a little bit of an arching back. Legs are fun, but not this leg, thankfully. Quite a bit of range here as long as it stays put. Rotation at the leg. Easier than the arms to get a full 360. A Beautiful spread. Bend at the knee, which I believe is the only hinge joint in here. But you do get a ball joint at the calf, which of course allows for a calf swivel. Where's the calf swivel? Here it is. Ball joint at the ankle, every ball joint, which allows for a pretty good ankle pivot. And to top it all off, a classic SH Monsterarts tail. 18 ball joints here, which allows for some beautifully curvy and natural poses. Posability here is pretty good. Even if the thigh wasn't so annoyingly fickle, the articulation would still be kinda limited, which is not that big of a deal. The Heisei era Godzilla wasn't known for pulling off crazy action poses, but the Final Wars Godzilla also didn't pull off crazy action poses, and that figure could do it. You know what would make up for the limited posability? An atomic breath part. And if he was a little bigger. Do I just not like SH Monsterarts anymore? Class your person time. Here's Figma Madoka Kaname, Haya Toys Godzilla, the Magic Square Light of Peace, my previous review, the Missing Link Optimus Prime, and the fully grown Godzilla Jr. After watching the movie, seeing these two together makes me feel a certain kind of way. Not horny this time, emotional. Also, I know there's an actual Godzilla Jr. SH Monsterarts, but no. This is a fantastic looking figure that's still a bit underwhelming. But that could be due to the figure's age or my increasing intolerance for Bandai bullshit. Now, let's look at the frickin' asshole who makes Godzilla's death a little worse and my life a little worse. What the fuck? The SH Monsterarts is obviously the main antagonist of his self-titled film, Godzilla vs. And in the movie, he's a direct result of the Oxygen Destroyer, which was the powerful weapon that killed the original Godzilla in the 1954 movie. I'm guessing that's why he looks like the goddamn devil, as if it's humanity's self-created demons coming back to haunt us. Also, he's a complete dick. Get fucked. The painting and the sculpting on this figure is amazing. The special color version is referring to this very red color scheme, which to my eye looks a lot more movie accurate than the first version of this guy. Could be wrong though, definitely need to see an optometrist. Great shading all throughout the figure as well. Makes the paint job on Godzilla look a little bit basic. But I don't know why this spike is more red than this spike. Maybe he's just excited to see you. Red Rocket. Movie accurate or not, it's a great color scheme. Perfectly complements this absolutely demonic design. The head in particular is fantastic. Some beautiful detail here. And what a great design in general. Just an angry, lumpy, bumpy meatball. I'd never realized how chunky he is. No body shaming. I'm not in the position to do that. His stature makes him all the more imposing. Texture work on this guy is brilliant. But a special mention goes to the chest. You know, it's quite fitting that one of Godzilla's worst enemies is a literal giant asshole. Looks like it would open up for a chest beam attack, kind of like Gamera, but it doesn't. Never does in the movie either, but I'm pretty sure it was an unused concept. Feel free to yell at me if I'm wrong, bitch. Meanwhile, I'll be yelling about fuck. I swear I never tugged on this piece. I did not. This was supposed to be a ball joint, so naturally, I barely applied any pressure here, and then it tore off, never to be repaired again. Again, this might be the result of degrading plastic over time. But no, I had this guy in his box the whole time he was stored indoors. Come on, Bandai! Or Chris. Anyone but myself. Another reason to yell is his lack of accessories. Important accessories. You do get all of these tanks, and all of them have a swivel, but I'd rather have a blast effect part, a stand to get his big butt up in the air, or better yet, his other forms. This design is actually his final form in the movie, but before then, he's multiple smaller creatures that are just a big reference to the Thing and Alien. So wouldn't it have been awesome to get bigger versions of those other forms? I know! There was a version of this figure that came with his other forms. I know! I was just doing a bit. I was leading up to it. God, fuck, you ruin everything! I'll deal with you later. Despite how brickish he may look, it doesn't feel as solid as it should. The joints are a bit too wobbly for my taste. Not complete pasta, but a little unbecoming of such a chunky boy. Would it really be such a sin to have ratchet joints in kaiju figures? Or what do I know? I'm just a brainwashed Transformers fan. The over fluidity of the joints would be a little more tolerable if he was a little more posable. Just like Godzilla, basically everything here is a ball joint, including this ball joint at the head. Every ball joint can be a swivel, opening mouth, which is also a ball joint. Oh shit. Multiple ball joints going down to the base of the neck allow him to look up that far and look down that far, and a good amount of side to side. Every ball joint can be ball joints at the shoulders, which should have been tighter because the shoulders have the wings attached to them, which is also on a ball joint, and all these wing flaps are also on ball joints, but I'd recommend you leave them alone, god damn it. Even so, you could get an intimidating wing spread and fold them up just a little bit. Every ball joint can be also a ball joint on this secondary pair of wings. Rotation at the shoulder can move a full 360. The arm barely moves out, but you do get a butterfly joint for what that's worth, which leaves an ugly gap in the back. Ball joint at the bicep, every ball joint. Bend at the elbow, which is also a ball joint. Hinge joint at the wrist. Swivel here, and a ball joint at each of his claws. But they're so tiny, I wouldn't recommend swiveling them. You know what happened last time. Now, there is a ball joint at the chest, as you would expect from a SH Monsterarts, but this guy's so thick that it doesn't really matter. The swivel that you could have gotten is virtually non-existent. I forget about a crunch or an arcing back. Ball joint at the thigh, which again, could have been tighter, but at least it doesn't pop off easily. You could kind of take a thigh swivel, barely there spread, barely there knee, but you still get a calf swivel. Where is it? Ball joint at the ankle, every ball joint, which allows for an actually really good pivot. And the tail is actually excellent. Even with just 10 ball joints, you can still get some pretty natural poses. Little claws are on tiny ball joints, but I am too scared to bend them. And they don't close all the way. Why? Posability here is, most of the expressiveness is gonna come from the head, but forget about getting even slightly dynamic action poses, which I suppose is enough because, like Godzilla, not known for crazy action poses anyway. So wouldn't it have been cool? But I am happy with the size of this thing. The impressive wingspan definitely helps. I wish we could get Godzilla figures of this size. I'm tired of small kaiju toys. Size comparison time. Here's Monica Godzilla Prime, another better figure of an iconic Godzilla enemy. And my previous review, the SH Monsterarts Burning Godzilla. Fuck 'em up, Goji! Yeah! It's no surprise that these two look great together. Just wish they were more fun to play with. Chris Herrera, again, I gotta thank you so much for gifting me these guys, but sorry for the lukewarm reception. I think I'm just at a point where I'm done with Bandai bullshit. It's not only Godzilla that died, but my love for SH Monsterarts. SH Monsterarts Godzilla figures specifically. That Blue Eyes White Dragon slaps! Thankfully, I've already broke it into a certain compound to collect a certain extraterrestrial. God, I love you, alien. Hey, my name is Jobby, and I still don't care about Power Rangers.